Usually, I start by taking a photograph at this point, a sketchbook picture as I call them, to show where I'm walking, but this is merely the introduction for what is to come. So I'll share the pictures on the show page, but there'll be ones made in Paris this week. That's what today's show is all about. It's our Paris street photography special, recorded in the French capital, whilst on a street workshop with our monthly candid street expert and friend to the show, Valérie Jardin. So no photo from the path this morning, but I do want to share a few thoughts from the path to explain what's about to happen, to whet your appetite for the walk ahead. Because until I returned from the workshop with my own pictures, and with the recordings made during the 3 days I was there, with some wonderful guests atop Valérie, who you're clearly going to meet on this show, I really had no idea how to introduce this special, because although I had an idea where we'd be going, I didn't know what and who we would find. I did think maybe I could make out I'm in a French park at this point, recording the intro right after the event before I come home, but no to that idea. I couldn't do that to you. Pas vous, mes amis. You'll have to excuse my French pronunciation today, by the way. I'll do my best at points. Pretend I'm strolling through a Parisian park when actually I'm back in the UK, sat with a cup of tea and possibly last week's croissant still in the camera bag. No, this bit is recorded post-workshop. Après la baguette. After the real magic, once I've had time to sit and reflect and gather what I saw and heard. Besides, the birds you hear in the trees at the moment might give it away. You'd say, hang about, Neil. That goldfinch, I'm not even sure that's a goldfinch. I don't think that is. Sounds like it's got a proper Berkshire, England twang, not a beautiful French lilt. So yes, I want to bring you with me properly to France. No smoke, no mirrors. Just a gentle rewind through 3 very special days in a very special European capital city. We're spending the show today under the workshop guidance of Valérie Jardin, who knows and loves this city. And although she's now based for, most of her time, she lives in the States. I think you'll appreciate very, very quickly hearing this. She has a big place in her heart for Paris. Such a big place. Like the millions who visit this city every year. And absolutely fall head over heels in love with the place and its culture. During the show, I get a chance to ask Valérie more conversational questions about her style of candid street photography, which is the theme of the workshop. She gives some tips, some thoughts about how to improve your photography on the street. You'll also hear parts of the sessions where she's guiding us as a group and telling us what's going to happen next, where we are, and setting some exercises. Little packaged gems of learning moments in many ways throughout today's show. And peppered through the podcast, there's some downtime with Valérie, some more candid moments, some unusual ones too. That's for sure. And talking of that, there are candid chats with those who were photographing on the workshop as well. So instead of me explaining what I'm seeing as I walk today, I think it's the turn of some new friends of ours who were happy to take part in the show as well. When you work and meet new people, new photographers, new creatives, you're bound to forge wonderful new friendships. And I hope that will come across in the show today, because we really did all have a proper magnifique time. I'll also pop up as my studio self here and there to provide a few colour pieces to explain some of the magical history as we walk and talk. So, welcome to the Paris Street Workshop Special with Valérie Jardin, where I have time to learn from one of my mentors and our mentors, Valérie, accompanied by some new very special friends of the show.
Today on the Photowalk.
The goal is to portray a moment of daily life that is beautiful, whether it's a moment of joy, it could be a moment of sadness. Never forget that you're the only person you need to satisfy with your street photography. You're not doing it for a client, so have fun with it. Yeah, it's the street photographer's dance where you, we'll have to do it tomorrow, Neil. We're dancing tomorrow.
Well, we're here in Paris, you and I, with a Photowalk special on a street workshop being led by Valérie Jardin. No mailbag this week, though keep your letters coming in as they really drive the show with your thoughts about this thing we do, photographing and walking. Before we start, a couple of thoughts. Thank you to those who are Patreon members of our community, our extra milers, as you're known, because your belief in this show, your desire to keep us walking together week after week is the why and the how of this podcast. Every week, there's an extra show available through Patreon, which now features a second part of my conversation with my guest each week, chats with those in the community, and a new feature called Reflections, my own take on making pictures and a life behind the lens. The Reflections series actually runs Monday through Friday. Thank you also to my sponsor, arthelper.ai, which helps you to sell your photos online by making the posts and the mock-ups and the marketing emails for you. If you've ever thought, hang on, I'm in Paris, I've made some great work, I'd like to sell some of this online, but haven't a clue where to start, arthelper.ai will do the tricky bits for you, and you can get 30 days free with code PHOTOWALK when you go to arthelper.ai. So, shall we walk? Checklist out. I'd like to do this in French, but for reasons you're just about to understand, that would be just a disaster. Coffee, check. Garibaldi's, check. I don't think they have those in France. Sunscreen, it is hot in Paris, check. Walking shoes, check. Mine are the Lover ones. So far this year, they've already been on my India special. They should handle this just fine, check. Have you got spare film or an extra SD card? Of course I have, check. And a French phrase book? Well, I'll use Google Translate, check. And, a little patience for my bad pronunciation at times. I'll be doing my best, I promise. Let's walk. Valerie, I had all these plans for saying something very French when I started speaking to you, and it's just gone completely from my mind. I'm focusing on so much now after having sat with you for the last 90 minutes or so while you were talking. No, it was fascinating, and there's bits that I want to talk to you about that I'd not even considered before. Dynamic stepping is something I'm never going to be able to unsee thanks to you.
Well, yeah, I see so many pictures that are so beautiful. The subject is perfect, the light is great, the backdrop is great, and then the subject is kind of in between step and an awkward stepping, and it ruins it. And so with the examples I showed you, like awkward stepping, dynamic stepping, you saw right away which one looked better, right? And so it's really important to catch that stride, and it makes the photograph so much stronger. It's the little things.
I've got hundreds of thousands of pictures I've taken across the many years of photographing weddings. I'm going to be looking back at them thinking, I can't use. You really. Anyway, we'll come to that as a subject. Paris, where are we?
We're in the 5th district. We're actually at Rue Mouffetard, which is Hemingway's neighborhood. Yes. I love the 5th district as home base for the workshops because it's so central. You can pretty much walk anywhere from here, and it's always lively. There are always students. It's less urban area, and the cafes are always lively, and the terraces, even in January, the terraces will be full of people enjoying the evening. So it still has that authenticity that is sometimes hard to find. I see the same local people every time I'm here, getting their bread, walking their dog. So there is that part, where the locals live. It's not just the tourists. So if you get off the beaten path a little bit and you take those less traveled little streets, that's where you'll see the locals going about their day and getting their lunch, their bread here, their meat there, their fruit and vegetables there, and it's daily life, and that's the beauty of it.
You say this is your favorite city to photograph in.
Yes, this is the one that I never ever get tired of photographing. Yeah. It feels like there is always a treasure at the next corner, and there is something very special about Paris. I can't even describe it, that I haven't found in many cities. And
we have a truly international collection of photographers. We've got Shanghai, Germany, America, Mexico, correct me if I get any of these wrong, Spain. I'm the only Englishman.
We have a French woman who lives in New York.
Yeah.
We have...
no wonder her French was so good.
We have Australia, New Zealand. Yes. We have 4 continents.
Come on then, let's go make some pictures. It truly is an international photography workshop, this. We have a wonderfully multi-experienced group of photographers. What is the collective noun for a group of street photographers? I know we were mulling it over on the path a few weeks ago. Is it a shuffle? Although I do remember a tangle of straps. That seemed quite good. I've found with street photography that the confidence doesn't arrive in a puff of smoke. I don't step onto the pavement and instantly become Cartier-Bresson with a Fuji. No. First, I faff. I faff a lot. I pretend to check settings that I already know. I hover by a wall trying to look casual. I lift the camera, then lower it again when somebody glances my way. And then somewhere between, I don't know, a cafe table and a dog on a scooter, I stop caring. I start to raise the camera more. I click without apology. And that little voice that was whispering, "What are you doing?" fades into the background. That's the real start of the day. Having said that, we're in Paris, so everything really starts at a bistro. A bistro, Neil, you've not even properly started. What's this, a photo walk or a photo eat? I know we've just sat down to eat, but I have to turn my microphone on when there's somebody gently singing to us on the street outside. And you brought me to a restaurant, a cafe, a bistro, a restaurant? What is this?
That's more of a bistro.
Bistro?
It says a gem. A gem, le verre à pied.
And this is a gem because we don't get a choice.
Well, there is one cook, and whatever she decides to make for the day is what you're going to eat.
Yeah.
And it's so timeless. And once they retire, this is probably going to become a coffee shop, unfortunately.
Not a Starbucks. Not a Starbucks.
No, probably not. But it's such a gem. And it used to be open lunch and dinner. Now they only open for lunch. But it barely fits 30 people. I don't even think it fits 30 people.
When you talk about the word authentic, this is what you mean, isn't it?
Absolutely. I never miss a chance to come here.
While I've been eating in a beautiful French restaurant with Valérie talking about street, other people have actually been making some street pictures. Stephanie, what have you got? What have you seen?
Well, I didn't mean to take a picture of that woman's butt, but but I got it.
You like detail, life's
Yes,
detail.
yes.
What is it about detail that fascinates
I think
you?
that's what tells the story.
Yeah.
It's the little things that I did not see before I started taking pictures, and now I look for them. And unusual people. I love this old French guy walking walking up the street, and then just architectural details. I love.
Just rewinding.
Street
I
art.
like that one. That's
Yeah.
somebody's legs just appearing in the sunshine.
This little girl, her mother was working, I don't know what she was doing. She was handing out pamphlets or something like that. And this poor little girl was just sitting there waiting for her mother. And she was so bored. And you can't tell it because her face is in the shadow.
It's interesting that you said that photography helps you see. How long have you been street photographing?
For probably 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's just a fun way to get to know a city. I think details are everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all made up of particles of something. And a city is made up of little details like that, whatever that is.
Oh, that's one of those street art.
Yeah,
there's
street
a particular name for that street art, which I
Yes.
can't remember right now.
I can't remember his
Digitized
name.
street art. Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but it's pixelated.
Yeah. Jorg, what have you seen?
Oh, I just tried many things because we came directly from a class at Valérie, and she told us so many possibilities and so many features where we can look after, and that's what I tried. And I think I got some good shots here. I tried to get someone in the sun, just standing alone. Well, this one I like very much. Just through the window, women just almost lying in the seat. Or in that street where we are at the moment, I have seen that one.
Oh, with the bird sort of looking like it's
looking, and
pecking the man.
I tried to get some shots with people on it. It was not so easy. But this one, for example, I like it very much.
So are you more a hunter or a fisher?
Both. There are some shots where I saw the scene and I stand in the corner and waited, and I tried to get the shot then. Otherwise, I turn around and I walk and walk and walk. I do both things.
What does street do for you? Stephanie's suggesting that it's a way of seeing the world and understanding the world.
For me, it has a very important meaning of cleaning the brain. Just taking the photo, the camera, go in the city and do 1 or 2 hours just walking and taking photos. And don't think about any other things, about the job, about other things. I just can really clean my brain.
I like that phrase, cleaning the brain.
Yeah. Concentrating just on taking photos, on looking around and not thinking about anything what's wrong in the job 2 hours before or something. That's all over. I can just concentrate on the photos, on the scenes, on the looking around, and that is much pleasure for me.
We talk so often, sorry Stephanie, we talk so often on the, hold that thought, because it's going to be important.
It is.
We talk so often about mental health and that cleaning the brain. Stephanie, I'm hoping that that's going to link into what we just said.
No idea what I was
Stephanie.
going to say.
I
know. I think that's the brilliant thing about photography as a hobby, as opposed to, I don't think I could do it for a living, because then it would be work. It's just a fun, interesting, fascinating, always different hobby.
Are you hard on yourself for the pictures that you make?
Oh no, I try not to be. I don't. Although my online name is Obsessive Hobbyist. I should. But I try not to obsess on it, and I just do it for fun.
I think your answer would be the same, Jorg, wouldn't it? If it's what you use for cleaning your brain, you seem to me to be somebody that wouldn't go out there and be hard on yourself. We've had 2 hours-ish to go and make our first sets of photographs, but it seems to me you're quite relaxed.
I'm very relaxed. I have no pressure at all. I just try to get a shot. If I'm going home and I don't have any shots, it's no problem. On the weekend, sometimes I take the big photograph and go on to hunt some birds with a photograph, and that's maybe I'm on the field or in the woods for 2 hours and I don't get a good shot. That's no problem. I have cleaned my brain. I come home. I try the next week, and 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I got a shot. Anyone. But I have absolutely no pressure.
So far I've learned 2 things, okay? One that I just can't now unsee, which Valerie introduced this morning, which was the dynamic stepping, okay? Dynamic stepping. I'm going to look back through so many of my photographs now and notice that there's not very dynamic in terms of the stepping, and cleaning my brain. I like that. It's bumper sticker worthy, isn't it? Fender sticker worthy,
it is.
as you would say.
I'm going to go clean my brain right now.
Yeah, with ice cream. Hang on a moment, Stephanie. You said it's ice cream time.
Right.
It's 30 degrees. It has to be, doesn't it? Yeah.
There's an ice cream shop.
Well, there's one.
Oh, there's one.
Glasses et sorbet.
There you go.
D'excellence, which has to mean it's fantastic.
Just enough time to have.
Well, while the three of us go off to find some ice cream, what's this, Neil? An eating fest? I thought I'd fill you in with a few details about the pixelated stuff that Stephanie was talking about. The pixelated street art, the Dots Paris, see what I did there, with its mosaic tile Space Invader aliens, Mario characters, and other 8-bit pop culture icons, is the work of a mysterious French artist known as Invader. He began invading Paris in 1998, using small ceramic and glass tiles to recreate video game sprites on city walls, bridges, and even the Eiffel Tower. Invader, whose real name is believed to be Frank Slammer, we'll come back to that in a moment, remains, sort of anonymous. And he works under the cover of night, using the moniker of UFA, or Unidentified Free Artist. His creations have become a global phenomenon, with over 4,000 mosaics installed in more than 80 cities, though Paris remains his primary canvas. So let's talk about Frank Slammer. Multiple sources have identified him as Invader, and I was delighted to learn he's only a few years younger than me. Look, I can be trendy, kids. Invader works incognito, as we said, often masked. To guard his anonymity on camera during interviews, he pixelates his own image or wears a mask. He claims that only a few people actually know his real name and his face, and that his parents think he works as a tiler in the construction industry. So if you do visit Paris, look out for his work. It's a brilliant art treasure hunt. And if you have kids, I promise you, it'll keep their heads from looking down into their smartphones. Day 1 in the afternoon, we found ourselves in Luxembourg Gardens. Beautiful Luxembourg Gardens. And Valérie set us some challenges for the hours we were going to spend ahead.
Picnics under umbrellas here because Parisian apartments are usually a bit small, so people want to be outside. People want their kids to play at the parks. There's so many parks in Paris. So this is one of the favorites. During the presentation, we talked about the pond and the little wooden boats. They're right there. So that's kind of the heart of the park. The Château du Luxembourg is actually now the Senate, but we will focus on the different areas in the park, and you guys are going to spread out so that you're not in each other's shots. So there is the pétanque players, which is where I'm going to go first. So whoever wants to follow me, you can all follow me there, and then give you a few tips on how to approach that. That's going to be a story in multiple frame, establishing shots, some medium shots, and then close-up shots. Think about, the guy who is waiting near the fence where you can actually get quite close, and he has his hand behind his back and he's holding his pétanque balls in those big metal balls. Just be aware when they're usually so good that they won't shoot out of the fence, the little tiny fence area. It's not really a fence, it's about 3 inches tall. But don't be right across someone who is throwing, because I can't guarantee that it won't hit your lens, or your nose, which would be worse. So be aware of that, but really at the pétanque courts, watch the people, the spectators. That's really where the gems are usually. It's the people who are watching besides the pétanque players. So really try to tell the story. There is even a little, a little shed where they keep their pétanque balls in, and they're numbered. And so if you get a chance to see one going there, follow them and ask them. They will show them to you. You can really do some detailed shots of them opening the box and showing you their treasures. So there's the pétanque, to me, is really the highlight with the wooden boats. Otherwise, there's tennis courts. There's already someone doing Tai Chi in the park. There is the little restaurant here. There's another one further. It's quite a big part. If you go deep into it, you'll find little trails where people are just reading their newspaper. Think about what makes this park stand out. What says Paris Park? Like Jardin des Tuileries, Jardin du Luxembourg. Jardin des Tuileries is the one that's between Le Louvre and Champs-Élysées. It's those green chairs. So you'll notice there's 2 types. There is the one that sit up straight, the ones, actually 3 types, the ones that have the armchairs, the ones that don't have the arms, and then the ones that are really low and comfortable, like over there. So try to incorporate that in your story. It's also really fun. I spent a whole hour once just doing shadows of the chairs, and it's like one is under a palm tree because it's the shadow of a chair under the shadow, and then the shadow of a palm tree. So it's like the chair is on vacation. This one is having a conversation with other chairs. So it's kind of fun to incorporate that in your photography. But photograph people sitting on those chairs, whether you photograph them straight on or right over their shoulders. And this is really an exercise in slowing down. We tend to walk too much, but here it's going to be an exercise in slowing down. We'll spend, I'm thinking, until 4:30, so you'll have 2 hours to cover this place, and it's not going to be too much. You'll need that time. Watch for dappled light. There's a lot of it because we don't have a cloud in the sky. So when people are in the shade, watch where the light falls on them. If it's, dappled on their face, it can be a tricky light situation.
The Jardin du Luxembourg, where Parisians come to perfect the art of doing absolutely nothing. Chairs dragged into patches of sun like cats finding their spot. Children launching little wooden sailboats across the boating pond with a seriousness that borders on naval command. Every boat has a sail on it with 2 letters signifying which country it comes from. And it gets, as you're about to find out in a while, a little confrontational at times. There's sculpture, there's shade, and you'll pour de snooze if you time it right. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the crunch of gravel, the rustle of chestnut trees, and the gentle sigh of a city letting itself breathe. Plus, a child having a tantrum as I tried to start my recording talking to Jonathan, one of our workshop attendees.
Oh, ce n'est pas pareil sans toi.
I'm in
Oh, because of her on purpose. You're like, oh, Dad, that's my turn.
monologue. It's my Australian friend. I was just about to do a monologue, and you came along and rescued the moment.
There you go.
I was trying to think of what to say. Valerie told us to slow down, didn't she?
Yes.
And so I am at glacial pace on a very hot day, a melting glacial pace. But I was looking at the boating lake. Sorry to interrupt you. I was looking at the boating lake and thinking, right, there's all these boats. I didn't realise that the boats represented different countries. So each boat has a sail with two letters. So GB for Great Britain with a UK flag. I've seen one for Denmark. There's Sweden over there. There's Germany. There's Portugal. And I was trying to find something that said something. And the only one I saw, but it was too far away. There was a moment for a zoom lens because the US and Ukraine were on a collision course.
There you go. Well, I think they're all sailing on the same waters, aren't they, really?
They are.
They're all constrained by the same planet that they're on. And they've got to find some way to avoid each other, but stay present with each other, don't they?
I knew you'd say something so more profound.
Not at all.
That was what I was looking for. You said it. How have you done so far?
Oh, well,
We should introduce you, your name, because you haven't been on the podcast as yet.
I'm Jonathan from Australia and from Greece. I bounce between the countries. I was born in Greece. My life has been made in Australia, but I'm slowly gravitating away and back to Europe. I spent 35 years doing what Americans call being a divorce lawyer.
Oh, right.
Which is...
That's serious stuff.
It's very serious. And sanity...
That's a grown-up job.
Well...
You'd be on the Pinstriped Express.
Oh, is that what that is? I hear you mention that every now and again, and I know it's corporate.
Yeah.
But
it's full of divorce lawyers in Coach F.
Okay, well, I'm abandoning the profession for something a lot more serene, street photography.
Yes. Jonathan, you hear me say this on the podcast all the time, but I often say things like, you're living the dream to my guests. Everybody seems to be, let's move away for a second. Somebody's trying to pull Germany out the water. I often say you're living the dream, but I think in Jonathan's case, he really is. Half the time in Greece and half the time in Melbourne, Australia. Jonathan, that is living the dream. Well, you've earned it.
Well, Neil, I've heard so many stories on your podcast about people who early on in life decided they were going to do what they loved and found a way to make that happen. There are also stories of people who didn't take the opportunity. I'm one of those people, which is, it's not a regret, but I had an opportunity when I was a young man to do something very different to what I'm doing now, and a cadet journalist travelling the world, taking photographs and writing stories. I didn't take that pathway thinking that there were going to be more opportunities like that. They didn't quite come along.
So what is it about photography then for you that is now your chief pastime?
I'm primarily a film photographer, which goes back to what you were saying before about slowing down.
Oh, yes.
It's very deliberative, very contemplative. I think humans want to memorialise the experience of being alive. I mean, for me, it's just, as a young boy, I really didn't have many opportunities, and I didn't think I could carve out the life that I've carved out. But fundamentally, since then, I was in love with life, and I think photography allows me to catch moments, consider them, hold them, whether it's people that I love or just places that I've been to. It's a really special, I call it an art form. I know there's a debate about whether...
I go with art form.
Yeah, certainly the people that speak to you and to others about their experience of being, whether it's professional photographers or other types of photographers, they're artists. They speak of emotion, they speak of loss, they speak of awakenings and vigilance and caring for people. Fundamentally, people, life.
What did you say just now? You said memorial. You want to memorialise
the experience of being alive.
Oh my word! Honestly, I've had a couple of things said to me in the last couple of
The
hours.
sun's getting to you, Neil. The sun's... Get yourself out of the sun, my boy.
No. I'm hearing all these wonderful expressions. Memorialise. Oh, what a fantastic expression. So why have you come then to Paris to learn with Valérie?
Well,
These are the moments she's not here, so I feel like I can ask those searching questions.
about 10 years ago, I wanted to be a journalist. That was part of the dream. I've written on a freelance basis, even though I've been a lawyer for all these years. And 10 years ago, I wrote this piece, which was published in the national newspaper in Australia. And then I visited Paris for the first time. The piece was about coming to Paris and all of the anxieties associated with...
Anxieties?
Yeah, look, it's hard to explain the piece because it really covered loss. There was a lost dog involved. There were photographs from a webcam.
A lost dog in Paris?
Yeah, so...
Well,
yeah.
that's intriguing.
One night I was contemplating the trip that I had planned for Paris, and I thought I'll just check out the weather. And a webcam was spying on this courtyard where there was a dance school. There was a black dog running around, and I had lost a black dog when I was a young boy, and that pain still lives on.
Oh my word.
So the piece just sort of evolved around the image of this dog appearing, disappearing, what can happen in life in the space of seconds and minutes. Rilke was in there. I don't know whether you know the poet, Maria Rainer Rilke.
Oh, I should. I feel I should.
I think you should. I think it'd be good for you, good for your soul and your spirit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wrote the piece and came as planned, and then had a second experience here where I visited this courtyard, and the fella that ran the cafe in that courtyard knew of me before I had even introduced myself.
Yeah.
Someone had given him the...
We've caught some attention here. Hello.
Hello. Parlez français?
No.
No.
What are you doing?
I'm talking to my friend Jonathan, and we're reliving some stories.
We're talking about visiting Paris in the
He's
past.
from Australia. I'm from England, and we're revisiting a story of a lost dog in Paris. Is that okay? Good. Thank you.
Merci.
Yeah.
Merci.
Oh, well.
Wow, didn't think we were breaking the law.
I've always said my phone with a little fluffy on it is the least obtrusive thing I could possibly have in terms of a microphone.
That looks like a toy.
It does, doesn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, so,
they interrupted the story at a beautiful moment. So you went back to this courtyard.
So I visited the courtyard, and the fellow that ran the cafe in the courtyard knew of my existence, knew of the piece before I'd even said hello to him, and asked me about my dog Dinny. Nearly brought me to tears.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Anyway, that created a love story for me with this place. I've come ever since. I just love coming here. I think it's one of the few places in the world that still embraces the concept that beauty is part of our fight against all the nasty things that happen in the world.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful place to spend time, watch people, and embrace the joy of living.
Hallelujah to that, Jonathan.
Without police bothering us.
I think they were just doing their job.
Yeah, no,
Shall I leave that bit in? I should leave that bit in, shouldn't I, really?
Yeah,
I think I would just...
It makes it a bit edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I wasn't being rude to them, I'm with my friend Jonathan, which confused them.
I'm the abrasive one.
Ah, beautiful sunshine. I love it.
How did you go with your photography today?
Wow.
Because I don't think that's your genre, really, is it?
Street.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What is street is a big question, isn't it? What is street? Is street just observing life? Because if you think about it, Jonathan, I spend all my... Well, not so much these days, but I spent all my weekends in the last 20 years or so going to a wedding. Now, is that not street photography? You just happen to be at somebody's wedding.
I think their consciousness of your presence changes things, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Or a lot of the time people say, I didn't notice you were here. Now, that might be because there's a bit more alcohol consumed and they're thinking about other stuff, of course.
How they look, whether they've made a fool of themselves.
But documentary photography, as far as I've worked out, or street photography, or a meld of the two, it's about moving slowly. It's about how you act. If you move slowly and you raise a camera now and then, I don't think you're Is that street photography?
Yes, I think you're going well.
Or is it being, like a ninja, leaping out from the shadows and grabbing that horrible face as somebody goes by and says, "Oh, did you just make my photo?"
You go gently with the flow of humanity.
Yeah.
You make yourself unobtrusive, and you simply steal moments in a very, very gentle fashion, harming nobody, because I don't think there's anything harmful about it, provided there's respect for the subject and the subject matter.
Do you
know Morrissey, right?
Morrissey the singer?
Yeah, Morrissey the singer.
Yeah.
He said...
One of my favourites.
Yes, well, he said in his biography, in the end, we all just become photographs. And I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Well, he's absolutely right. Maybe my genre is not street, because I don't necessarily think of my genre as street. I do not sell myself as a street photographer. I am curious. I said that. A guest said that to me probably 2 years ago, and I said to my wife Sam, I said, I'm going to put that on a business card. Curious. And she looked at me like it was the worst idea I'd ever had. But I suspect that's what I am. If there's a genre called curiosity, put me in that box.
Well, what does a photograph allow you to do? It allows you to take as much time as you need to look, contemplate, go to the detail, see how what it evokes in you. Everything moves. I mean, I can't. Not that I watch anything on a screen other than my mobile, but fast editing, the fast pace of life. I mean, there isn't a moment to actually look at something. No. Photographs are really one of the few things left in life where you can actually, that and architecture and sculptures, things like that.
Well, that's why I believe still photography will never die.
No. It's astounding that film photography, which is essentially what I do, was written off so many times, and it's coming back with a vengeance.
Absolutely.
It really, really
Absolutely.
is. And it's not just the taking of photographs. I mean, for me, the most joyous part is the development stage.
Yeah.
Just quietly sitting there.
Yeah.
Sometimes with a podcast, sometimes yours, sometimes others, and just seeing what rolls out of that magical soup.
So have you been making many photographs yourself? You have brought along... Now, I borrowed one of these from MPB for a while. This is the GR...
3X.
So is this the 28?
No, this is 40 millimeters.
Right,
it's the 3X. It's the first digital camera, serious digital camera that I've held in my hand, and I've had it for about a week. Yep. Because part of this workshop, part of what I wanted to do was to see whether I could hold a camera that can take rapid-fire photographs and restrain myself and still shoot like a film photographer. I haven't looked at any of the images I've taken today, not one. I've checked a couple of times because it overheats, but I'll look at them tonight. And that's kind of like the film process where you delay I won't say gratification. I think the magic of the image that works, because most of them don't. There's so much failure in photography. The magic comes from the few shots that really, I don't know, they evoke something or say something or catch something beautiful.
I entirely agree with you. Right, let's go make some pictures and see if we can upset some more police. Where did they come from? That was incredible.
I don't think they were upset.
No, I think they must have come out the ground.
And so our adventures close on day one, photographing Pétanque, which I promise we'll come back to later actually, with a very odd invite to visit, we'll get there later on. We also gathered photographs of those taking just a moment from the day, those floating boats, the readers, and the unwitting park police who felt a conversation with a friend could just be crossing the boundaries of visitor and professional. We'll come back to our time in Paris in a moment. After my studio self will share some words about our sponsor, arthelper.com. If you've ever thought about selling your photography online but haven't a clue where to start, I think Art Helper could probably help you because it's made for people like us. Here's how it works. You upload a photo, magically and instantly professional content is made for you, such as social media posts, email newsletters, even full Substack articles, all in your own voice. It can also generate hundreds of mock-ups for every image you upload, things like your work framed, so people get a real understanding of what your photograph could look like on their wall. It helps you connect with the right buyers and even suggests pricing based on your market. And unlike most AI tools, it has an art protection guarantee, which means something very important: your images are never used for AI training. Free to try, and Art Helper is giving our listeners a special deal. Go to arthelper.ai, use the code Photowalk and get 30 days free of the Pro version. I'll make sure to put a link on the show page, but also now there's a video that my friend Brandon at Art Helper made to help us understand and be able to see how the thing works. So if you go to the show page, you'll see Brandon explaining and showing exactly how this could work for you and I. It's a great way to start selling your art or growing the business you already have. And thank you, arthelper.ai, for your belief in this show. Day 2 of the workshop starts at a metro station. I recorded the sounds of being on the metro from one station to another and thought, okay, let's see if we can do a history of the metro between stops. The Paris Metro is a wonderful way to travel around the city. It opened in 1900, and Line 1, this one that I'm travelling on now, was the very first, running from Porte de Vincennes to Port Maillot. It was built fast, ready in time for the World's Fair, and helped mark Paris as a city embracing modernity. Line 1, this one, cuts right through the centre, past Bastille, the Louvre and onward, a straight spine of the city's history and power. Today it's one of the most used lines and also the first to become fully automated. No driver. Believe me, I sat at the front and pretended a couple of times. But walk onto one of the platforms and the bones are still there, the tiled walls, the cast iron details. And there's something I think quite extraordinary about stepping onto the same line Parisians have used for more than 120 years. Let's start this day 2 then by having a conversation with Valérie about street photography on the Paris special. In a slightly quieter moment, Valérie, I thought this would be an opportunity to talk about the workshop, because in between, obviously, there's all the colour pieces that I'll play in during this Parisian special today.
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's been super fun to have you as a special guest.
Well, you keep saying that, and I'm thinking, don't call me that. Because I feel like I have to do something to earn the title.
It's been fun. You've been an entertainer, so it's been super fun. And everybody, it's like after just a few hours, it's like one big family.
Yeah.
And everybody has been really enjoying talking with you and recording little bits of their impressions and thoughts. So I think that's really cool, because I had told them, it's completely optional. He'll be there. If you don't want to talk, it's fine.
Well, the interesting thing is you're not going to know any of this until you hear the special go out.
That's right. I have no idea what they're going to say.
So, look, I wanted to talk about some of the rules of street photography, because when we first arrived, we sat around a table, we shared who we were, a little bit of our experience, and maybe a little bit about why we were here as well. And you did a really interesting piece about who makes the rules, and then you broke it down gradually. Being respectful, don't photograph people in embarrassing or vulnerable situations. Things we've talked about on the podcast before. Put yourself in the subject's shoes. Follow your gut feeling. If somebody asks you to delete an image, delete an image. Yeah. With all the rules that you spoke about, what have you found during your time as a street photographer as perhaps the most important?
Well, I kind of hate to call them rules, because no one really makes the rules. I think we all have our own sense of ethics and common sense. Really, it's all about common sense. But the goal is to portray a moment of daily life that is beautiful, whether it's a moment of joy, it could be a moment of sadness, but respecting that if that picture, you feel like if it was you or someone you love on that picture and you saw it published on social media and you'd feel awful, well then don't take it, or at least don't publish it. That makes sense, right? So just do to others what you would want them to do to you, really, and be very respectful in the way you portray people. So not photographing people in vulnerable situation, embarrassing situation. I mean, humor in street photography is subtle. It's not laugh out loud funny or making fun of somebody's the way they look or something. I don't like that. I don't like looking at those photographs, so I certainly wouldn't take them. So I think this genre has become so popular. We see street photographers everywhere on the street, especially when you're a street photographer, you spot them pretty quickly.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
And so it's so important to keep the true tradition and be respectful so that privacy laws don't get stricter and it gets more and more difficult to do this. I've taken pictures that I decided not to publish because it portrayed a person in an unpleasant way, and I never published those pictures. Even though I'm sure people would have appreciated them and would have liked them, but that had crossed the line, so I don't keep them.
Another thing you talked about, which is a subject we often cover, by virtue of the letters that come in suggesting this is one of the biggest barriers to photographing on the street, is the fear of photographing strangers. It's a subject that you talked about. One of the suggestions you said was split up. You do your best work working on your own, because in a group you can look perhaps a bit more obtrusive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you do your best work alone, and that's why I give my students a lot of space. I give them a lot of instructions, but then I give them space to go get their shots, and then we regroup, we talk about it. And you don't want to get the same shot as someone else. That's not fun either. And you don't want the others to be in your shot. It's a lonely pursuit, really, street photography. But the camaraderie of it when we regroup and we talk about it, that's priceless. So it's nice to be with other street photographers, but to do your work, you need to be alone.
It's interesting that some people come on your workshops who probably have little to no experience. It's a real first-time outing. What do you say to those people to try and get over that fear? Not so much push them, because that sounds quite extreme, but to give them a chance to find the beauty and love for this genre?
Well, sometimes it's as simple as photographing a stranger who is a musician on the street. They're still a stranger, but they're not going to yell at you, or most of them won't. So give them a couple of euros, and then take your time and practice your technique, practice that dance that street photographers do to get the best possible angle and the best possible...
The dance?
It's the street photographer's dance where you... Yeah. We'll have to do it tomorrow, Neil. We're dancing tomorrow.
I'm having wine on my cornflakes if that's what we're doing.
So to get the strongest possible shot, it's not going to be just straight on. You may have to get low to the ground. You may have to get from a higher perspective to get the strongest possible shot. So practicing on strangers who are not going anywhere is a good way to start. And I really encourage people to start with that.
I've been trying something new myself the last couple of days, which is photographing from the back of the camera, the LCD. I am well known for speaking on the podcast about not being able to do that and feeling that. Now, I've never once said it's not a true form of photography. I would not say that, because that would denigrate the work of others that do it very, very successfully. But I have to say, I found it very difficult to start with.
Yeah, it takes a while. I used to only look through a viewfinder until I switched to the X100 series, and I never looked through that viewfinder. And it's funny, because before I switched to mirrorless camera, I was looking for one that actually had a viewfinder. And I got one, and I never used it. So we have these big, beautiful screens. We can flip them. The newer ones we can flip. We can look through a screen and be less conspicuous. Why not use that to our advantage? I mean,
and angles.
Yeah, and I used to get those shots with my 5D Mark II, which was the last DSLR I used before I switched to the X100. But I was definitely loud and more conspicuous. Now I can be even more invisible, and it's it's best. And getting angles that you probably wouldn't get if you look through a viewfinder. How many times today did you go flat on your stomach on the ground? Probably not many times, because you use your flip screen instead, right? Or you can reach above your head instead of finding a park bench to stand on if you're looking for the viewfinder. I find that photographers who look through the viewfinder, everything is shot at eye level, and it gets a little monotonous. And the goal is to get the strongest possible shot, and that's not going to be at eye level all the time.
Whilst also remaining, if you can, we don't have cloaks of invisibility, but to try and find that invisible way of photographing.
Yeah, it's being quick while not moving quickly. So it's barely stopping to get the shot and keep on moving. So it's very fluid. People don't notice you stop because you really don't. You walk slowly. You take a fraction of a second pause, get the shot, and keep on going. And so it's really the art of the grab shot, and I think that's exciting.
I learned something about you today that I didn't know, that the art of the grab shot for you came from wanting to photograph when you were with family.
Yeah, because I do this for a living, so the least I can do when I'm with my family is not to have them wait every 5 minutes. Oh, I need to get that shot. Oh, hold on. No, I don't do that. So I've perfected the art of the grab shot where I'm with them, I have my camera in my hand, and I try to get the best possible shot without spending any amount of time, for the photography. It's really grab shots, and it's good. It's a good exercise, and it's really turning a frustration into a challenge, because we all know how it feels to want to get a shot, but you're with your family and you can't take the time you need. So instead of getting frustrated, turn it into a challenge and see how many keepers you can have by, just keep on going, grab the shot, enjoy your family while you keep an eye for moments on the streets, but not leave them for half hour while you're chasing.
Limitations, that's something you place on yourself, isn't it? Limitations. That's why you use a camera with only a 23 millimeter focal length, which equates to a 35 millimeter full frame focal length, because you have the opportunity with the X100 series to put different converters on there to get differing focal lengths, but you've opted to limit yourself.
Yeah, because if I wanted different focal length, I would be shooting with an X-T5 or other. And I love this camera because of its limitation, and I think that's why people get that camera. It's because of its limitation. It's perfect for what we do. And
do you ever use the digital zoom on it?
Never. I don't even know how to use it, to be honest.
It's switched off.
Yeah, right. I don't. I've never used it.
Because it can happen.
Have you used it?
Yeah, I have used it. I used it once today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you cheated.
Is that cheating?
How far did you zoom from?
I did the furthest one I could possibly do because I saw a shape. And I can't yet fly. I've tried, but I couldn't yet fly up to get the picture of the shoes hanging from an electricity cable. I promise I won't enter that into the last pictures we show. I shall put it in the folder of shame. Rue Mazet is where we are. Anne is waiting for a chap to make his way into the light.
Of course there's a cab.
What did you... Oh, it was a cab. Oh, Anne.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
That's just
he
how
was
it
perfect.
is.
He
Yes,
looked
was.
great.
Yes.
Parisian, more mature gentleman. And a bloody cab.
Yes, exactly.
It's like being back in New York, Anne.
Exactly.
Anne is from New York. That's the relevance of that.
Yes.
So you actually flew in direct. This is very showbiz. Okay. Direct into the workshop. You got off a plane, went across Paris, turned up, hi, bright as a button.
Yes,
no probs at all. You must have felt exhausted inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was dead last night.
Were you?
Yeah, I wasn't able to look at my photos. Were you?
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Please, if you see something, you get a photo. So, what are you using? You're using Fujifilm.
I'm my X-T5.
X-T5, okay. So you brought an X100 as well, though, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my X-T5 with an fixed 18 millimeter lens.
Now, I can't get on with this lens. I've tried.
This is my first time using it. Yes.
Okay. It is a beautiful lens. It renders beautifully. You adopted street photography as very much a mindful activity, I think, from what you do, which is a very serious job, actually. You work in anesthetics.
That's correct. I'm a nurse anesthetist.
Yeah. One of the most important people in the operating theatre. Don't tell the doctors what you said to me yesterday.
Exactly.
So why
they don't like that.
No. Why photography then? What does it do for you?
It makes me see the world differently. Yeah, and it makes me pay attention. The world's so busy, like all the noise, right, with social media and just how things are.
So this is how you counter that?
Yeah, it's almost like a meditation.
Is it?
Yes.
Now that's interesting. I hear people say photography is a meditation.
Yeah.
So it definitely is for you.
Because you slow down, you pay attention, you see the world differently. Street in particular.
It's interesting
More so than
because
other
here
genres.
we're not necessarily in a quiet place. If you wanted to be really quiet, you'd head to. Yeah, you saw him.
Yes, I missed it.
He looked a bit mean to take a photograph of. And we get away with it. I wouldn't.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't.
But so you brought yourself to another quite busy city.
Yeah.
But, okay, you can be meditative in busy city situations, I think.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So
I think it's really just paying attention more to people, to details of the city.
Now, you follow a few photographers. You've introduced me to a couple over the last day or so, but Phil Penman is one of your favourites.
Yes.
Yeah. Why?
Because he's so, like what you say, people who are pretty big in the industry, and yet they're very generous with their time. He really focuses on the craft.
You introduced me to somebody else yesterday, and I can't remember their name. This beautiful comedic photography on the street.
Oh, Gokhan.
I will leave a link for that on the show page.
Yeah.
His work is extraordinary.
Nuts. Yeah.
How does he, the timing of what he gets.
So he's a big guy with a very little camera. So he's so subtle with his movements, and
so it doesn't even look like he's working.
No, but when he looks at when I look at his photos, it's nuts. As you're working with him, or like when you hang out with him, and he's taking the photo, you don't even realize he's taking the photo.
I'm as fascinated to watch other people work as I am to actually make my own work on these sorts of things.
Right.
Oh, look. Man cleaning.
I'm like missing
I'm sorry, it's my fault.
Right? That's okay.
Just go for it. Look, he's still doing it. Look. He looks very calm. He's just washing his arms down with cold Perrier water. That is decadent behaviour. What do you use Perrier for? Just washing my hands.
Right? Only in Paris. Only in Paris.
Anne's getting some fabulous pictures at this moment. Maybe we can put one of these on the show page if you'd allow us. Yeah. He saw you. So you use photography for meditation. Genre, street photography mainly. I think travel. When we talked, you classed yourself initially as a travel photographer.
Yeah. I was just one of those who always had her camera in her bag.
Yeah.
I love to travel.
Favorite places?
Italy, Japan.
Japan. Never been to Japan. Where did you go?
Tokyo. I recently went on a ski trip to Karazawa.
Okay.
It's with my family. So.
Well, it's a great way to see the world and find your curiosity, isn't it? That's what I seem to be hearing.
That's for sure.
From everybody. Look, I'll let you carry on.
Feeling small. Your problems are tiny compared to, when you travel. It's like you see different perspectives.
And I'm going to let you keep photographing, because there's nothing worse than somebody talking at you while you're trying to make pictures. Good luck. Mind you, I think you got a corker with him washing himself with Perrier water. Absolutely decadent Parisian behaviour. Right, see you in a moment.
Decadent maybe, but as Valerie kept telling us, Paris has some of the best drinking water in the whole of the world, straight from the source. So perhaps it does make sense to drink out of the taps and bathe in the bottled mineral stuff. Now I feel like I should be talking to you in hushed tones, because one of the incredible places Valerie took us to at this point was the majestic Église Saint-Sulpice, and the sounds you hear in the background is wild track, as they call it in the biz, or a field recording from this incredible church. I didn't feel it was appropriate for me to tuck myself into a corner and record a link as such. It's actually the second largest church in Paris, although it doesn't shout like Notre Dame or draw quite the same crowds, which I was actually very comfortable with. Recording this after the event means I've had time to find some interesting history, such as inside you'll find grand columns and faded frescoes by Eugène Delacroix, one of France's great romantic painters, known for his wild energy, bold colour and dramatic scenes. Less about neat lines, more about raw emotion. And not that this will be recounted in any history manuscripts. My art teacher, back in my school days, used to talk a lot about the intensity of his art. Go at the canvas like you mean it, boy. Become Delacroix. Mr. Norbury used to say to us, or words to that effect. We talk about perfection quite a lot on this show, and Delacroix had a thing or two to say about the subject as well. The artist, he said, who aims at perfection in everything, achieves it in nothing. Anyway, the church features in the Extra Mile this week as I self-critique some work I made in there as part of the workshop, because as I was photographing, something rather solemn and rather beautiful happened, which is why you're currently hearing a priest's haunting tones, which I also recorded. But not far from the church, I spent a moment or 5 in the sunshine with Bridget, one of my fellow workshop attendees, finding contemplation in a quiet square of Paris, which famously was the final home of Delacroix. Oh, the segue and more hushed tones.
We're outside a shop called Flamand, I think is the correct pronunciation.
I think Flamand.
Flamand? Oui?
Oui.
Oui. And Bridget is waiting for something to happen. We're half in sunshine here, half out. It's a. So I don't want to stop you working.
Okay.
On the podcast, what I try to do, Bridget, is photograph as I'm talking. It's usually a disaster.
Okay. Disasters are okay. That's the way we learn.
So, come on. So far, we're a day and a bit in now. How do you think you're doing? Are you happy with the work that you've achieved?
I think I'm mixed about what I've achieved.
Mixed?
Mixed,
Okay.
in terms of some good, some okay, some disasters. Well, what I would term a disaster. But even within that, I've learned a lot and can understand how my photographs kind of turned out the way they did. Which for me is really, really important and probably more valuable than accidentally having a beautiful photograph but having no idea on how I can actually reproduce that and do that again. And one of the things, so many things have been really helpful, going to different environments, but also, say, for example, Valérie has just reset my settings, some of my settings, to help me hopefully capture some more exact kind of images.
So New Zealand, you've come a fair way. You're
I've come a
New
long
Zealander.
way.
Although, as we were talking yesterday at the restaurant, and you seem to. So you've lived in London.
Yes.
You've got experience of there. You're a New Zealander.
Yes.
So you've come a fairly long way for this.
Yep.
Yeah. You've been
Yeah.
waiting. I remember the first day. Did you say you'd been waiting a few years for
I've
this?
been waiting, I have.
4, wasn't it?
It's 3 or 4, I can't quite remember. And I just decided that this was the year that I wanted to join Valérie's workshop.
Yeah.
And it's a big birthday year.
Yeah, I know. It's 40.
40, that's right, it's 40.
We're all going through that.
Yes, yeah, or maybe 30. And so I just really
Sorry,
wanted...
I got that wrong. 30, Bridget.
30, yes, can't you tell?
I can.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just decided that it was the most sort of like precious and, I don't know, that's the best gift that I could give myself, really. And I haven't for one moment regretted, because it's not inexpensive, you know, flights,
No,
the workshop,
no.
everything.
Yeah.
But it's just such a great experience, and I think, you know, I could wander around by myself and try and take photographs, but I wouldn't learn what I've even learned so far. Knowing some beautiful spots to go to, just appreciating other people's work as well.
Actually, that's a very good point, because coming on workshops is not simply about working on your own technique. There's definitely an inspiration I receive from working alongside other people.
I think so. So one of our group just did a beautiful...
Mind your feet. Bonjour.
That's cool. Did a beautiful shot in the church, beautiful rim lighting, and I would call it like the money shot.
Is it?
Oh, I just think it's beautiful. Yeah, that was Joyce.
It was fabulous in there.
Yeah, I missed a lot of shots in there. I know I did. I just know. I look at my photograph, I think, no, that's not quite it.
Is that because you were marvelling? See, I was having this discussion that I think I miss stuff because sometimes I'm marvelling and I forget to take the photograph.
I think it is that, and also because I think actually my settings weren't quite correct.
Oh, you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, so Valérie corrected some things for me, which was really very, very helpful. And just I think one of the things that I'm really learning, which is what I wanted to learn, is like, say, for example, in the church, where to stand, get the best light, how to position yourself, capturing the moment. Because I think I have a good eye. Like I understand it and I can see the vision, but it's just my execution sometimes, and sometimes I panic. Not panic, but I'm in a rush.
So right now we're in front of this beautiful, small, very cute florist, Flamand, in this square which Valerie says is the best square in Paris. The most expensive. Well, we've got the Musée National Eugène Delacroix over there. So we're in good company here.
Yeah.
But looking at this, see, this for me is a photograph in itself.
Yes, it
There's
is.
no humans in it.
No, that's right.
But we've just got some I can't think of the flowers' names, Bridget.
Hydrangeas.
Are they hydrangeas?
There are hydrangeas,
I should know this, I know.
Yes, there's some rosemary,
So
lavender.
what would you do with this composition?
I would probably prefer this without any people in it. I think it changes it, because I think this is just very beautiful, and it's busy, but it's also quite simple. So you'd get a different vibe with, this lovely lady coming out with her goods.
I know you were thinking I want to photograph that.
I know, I totally was.
Did you get that?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm going to go close. Those whites are really blown out.
Yeah. What settings did you change, by the way?
She
Because I was having a long conversation with Valerie, who shoots in a very different style to me. I'm very much a camera to the eye person.
Oh, I was too, actually, until this week, because for me that's what actually brought me close to the subject that I'm photographing. I feel like I'm connected. I've never used live before, because it just feels like I'm 7 steps away from actually what I'm trying to capture. So that's what I'm saying about the kind of like all these accidental kind of learnings.
Yeah.
So that really, really helped. And I said to Valerie, I haven't got any good shots. She says, right, dragged my arm, and she said, right, come on, we're going back in. And I thought, oh, that's just so beautiful.
Yeah. She is great at stuff like that. She's
very generous, very, very generous.
Yeah.
Because I suppose in some ways what she does is actually quite simple, but she has perfected it, and she's quick and she's nimble. And
you wouldn't believe that, like us, she's only 30, would you?
That's exactly right. I know.
As I leave Bridget to make some more pictures in the quiet of this wonderful Parisian square, which incidentally had more noise than I remember listening back now, I'm minded, what with Bridget talking about travel, to talk a little more about the T word in connection with this show and the workshops, stroke adventures, stroke retreats that we offer here. This podcast celebrates its 500th edition soon, which I'm going to be un-Englishly very proud of, if I may say so for a moment. And you've brought me and this show to that by your support in terms of being a member in our Extra Mile community, which is linked to on the website, the purchase of our ebook called Why? A Sketchbook of Life, and by being a wonderful travelling companion as I walk with guides and friends and visit far-off places. It's always far off for someone, of course. We have 3 wonderful ways to travel with this show, 3 unique, wildly precious experiences. And if you can lend me 2 minutes of your time, I'd like to describe them in case you feel, having heard the adventures today of working together as a wonderful photographic team on Valerie's workshop, you'll be keen to travel with the Photowalk. This September, in a couple of months' time, we travel together for a retreat to Scotland. Escape with us to Scotland's Black Isle. 5 days of mindful photo walking, forest writing, darkroom printing, sound storytelling, on a working soft fruit farm. It's more than photography, it's a retreat for your senses, where creative community meets nature's rhythms and time slows down, I like to think, alongside like-minded souls. We have our daily challenges, yes, and each evening we eat together with wonderfully home-prepared food as we look back at the day experienced. Next year, in March 2026, we return to India. Over 9 immersive days in March 2026, this isn't just a photography trip, it's a creative awakening. In Kolkata, we'll drift through steaming street markets as they awaken, ride the famous yellow taxis of the city and pause for chai with families. We go to the largest flower market and photograph a wrestling story. And then in Varanasi, we capture shimmering Ganges dawn rituals, saffron-robed pilgrims, and the centuries-old pulse of ghats and temple life. Small groups, local guides, afternoon edit sessions, journaling guidance for platforms such as Substack. It is a journey that goes way beyond the lens to awaken sensitivity, story, and definitely spirit. And then in September 2026, from the moment we land in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia begins to whisper its secrets. What a place. But it's in the wide open Altai where its soul reveals itself. We will trace ancient trade routes and Buddhist monasteries to the golden silence of the steppe. We'll explore temple ruins scented with time and stand shoulder to shoulder with eagle hunters, watching their golden birds return to outstretched arms, photographing and documenting their life. We'll witness the riot of colour and tradition of the Eagle Festival. We'll work with farmers, live alongside them, creating photo stories of the like you won't have done before, I'm sure. And we photograph the streets of the city too. It's raw, it's real, and it's a visual journey deep into Mongolia's timeless rhythm. The world doesn't wait. The stories, the faces, the fading light, they're all out there, waiting to be noticed by you and I. Traveling like this isn't about ticking boxes. From day one, we've always wanted to work differently on this show. We'd like you to feel something about you shift. You go to make pictures, yes, but what you bring back shapes how you see everything else from that moment on. Some journeys just don't end when you get home. Go to photowalk.show and all the links for these incredible 3 journeys are there. Scotland only has one place on the first week left, mind. Right, shall we return to Paris?
Valérie just pointed out to me that Joyce was along the way having her portrait made, and I thought first of all it would be a photographer, but no, it's a Parisian artist doing your portrait, Joyce.
Hey, hello.
Did he ask you or did you ask him?
I was here sitting and wait for the team, and he asked me if I can give you a drawing for free.
Let me have a look. Very good. Very good. Parlez-vous anglais? A little bit. What's your name?
Rodian.
It's excellent work.
I look in my pencil.
You look at your pencil?
Yeah, but for training for the pencil. This one.
Well, it looks very good, Joyce. How's your photography looking? Are you getting some good shots today?
I think so.
Yeah.
At least I think I got few shots which I like very much in the church this morning.
Do you know, I saw you in the church and you were making a photograph of the nun, who I think became aware that we were all making photographs of her, but she was very good, very sporting. And
yes.
But you had some fantastic angles. I've been watching you work, actually, and you are somebody that looks for different angles.
Yes, I'm trying to use I think there is some stairs to use as a frame so that I can put the portrait in the frame.
So a frame within a frame?
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And she really catched me is because the clothes is standing out, her white clothes, and also she is focused on the praying.
Yes.
So the impression did, impress me a lot.
It's beautifully peaceful in there, wasn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, sorry, I'm being told off. You need to look at him. Don't look at me. We'll be in trouble. So it's multicoloured, Joyce. That's what I can say. It's not like a pencil drawing as you might be expecting. It's multicoloured. It's unique. What do you think, Valérie?
Oh, it's very good. As a drawing artist myself.
Just slip in another one of my talents.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is actually very unique with all the colors.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see your colour pencils.
That's very good.
I asked him his name, and I think he ggave me the name of his pencil and not him. But I'm not quite sure. You know, my French is not great. It really is not.
Where's my friend Pentel?
Apart from that, I was going to ask him for 2 coffees, and that was about it.
That's it, yeah.
But I think it's looking good. How would you compliment him in French? Can you do it for me?
Okay.
Can you lean over his shoulder and compliment
c'est très
him?
bien. Bravo.
I could have done that. Apparently, she's getting it for free.
She's so beautiful, that's why.
Well, as our Parisian artist continues to colour sketch Joyce on the left bank of the Seine, A quick word about this rather wonderful place to photograph, because there's a definite rhythm to life along the Seine. If you're coming here as a photographer, make sure you walk it. Soft footsteps on worn stone, the murmur of conversation drifting from passing boats. I know this is going to sound cliche, but it really does happen. Lovers leaning into each other on quiet benches. As a street photographer, it's not just the scenes you capture, it's the feeling of being part of something unfolding at an unhurried pace. You don't rush the Seine, no, you watch, you wait. And if you're lucky, the light and the life align for just long enough to press the shutter. And the pace of serendipity is something I discuss with Valérie, as we find a couple of moments to talk a little bit more generally about street photography.
Valérie, what do you do when somebody catches your eye? Your photography and the photography that we've been shooting over the last couple of days now is really about capturing the moment in a candid fashion, in a way that's not obtrusive. What happens when the head turns and the eyes catch you?
Usually nothing, unless the person has a question. Unless they ask me something, I just continue whatever I was doing. But it's happened that people have asked me, did you just photograph me? And I said, yes. The moment was so beautiful. And I show them the picture on the back of the camera. It has always been a good experience because it was a beautiful moment, and they see it too. I'm not doing anything wrong, and that's, I think, the thing that some photographers have to get over. I think they almost feel like they're doing something wrong. And
in a clandestine fashion?
Exactly, and it probably the vibe that they send out there is a little, maybe people are a little bit more aware of them. But I'm not doing anything wrong. What I'm doing is important. I'm recording a moment in time that if we don't have those pictures, what are we going to have of 2025? Just, selfies of people in front of
Or as I fear, in some countries, some European countries actually, where ICM is now the preferred way to deliver a story because you can't photograph people without their express permission.
Yeah, and that's lovely. There's so many ways to do this, but nothing will ever beat the human expression, the expression of joy or surprise or sadness on a subject. And so I do it because I find it important to do, and that's why it's so important to do it well and respectfully so we can continue this important work.
Here's a big question. Stand by. What is a story?
Oh, that is a big question. The beauty about street photography is that we never know the real story, right? Like, I photograph someone that does a gesture that could look like they're conducting an orchestra, for example, of birds, and I'm referring to a story that comes to mind, shot from above, and all the birds are in flight, and the gentleman has this beautiful gesture. When I know the real story, the story is that he was finishing his sandwich, and he threw the breadcrumbs in the air, and the birds just went flying. I anticipated that moment. When there's bread and there are birds, something is going to happen. And he just gave me this beautiful gift, and actually I called it the Orchestra of Birds, because he looks like he's conducting. So that's the story. We never know the real story, and it's about leaving room for the imagination too. The viewer will be able to make their own story, and that's great. One
thing I shall never unsee now in my photographs is dynamic stepping. Now, I was in the church earlier, and I did, I've photographed funerals. I felt comfortable in the beautiful church where we were, photographing the coffin being brought in from an angle where I wasn't being seen. I didn't feel I was being obtrusive. I was stood a reasonable distance off. But you know what I was thinking when the coffin came through? And I'm being careful as I say this because I don't want to feel flippant with it. I was looking for the bearers to have dynamic steps.
Yes, and in sync if possible. And they may have been in sync.
I think they were.
Yeah, I think they'd probably do that on purpose. So, yeah, it's always easy to capture a dynamic step of one subject. You can control that. You can control when you press the shutter. But when there are 2 or 3 people, it's going to make or break the shot if they're off step. And try to capture that dynamic step of a person. You can have the most beautiful light, the most beautiful subject, background, and everything, and then that subject is in an awkward stepping, like one foot still kind of in the air, and it looks awkward. It ruins the shot, in my opinion. And it's really easy to fix because, again, practice with one subject. You can certainly decide when you press the shutter or go into a small burst of 3 shots, you'll get it. But when you have several people, you'll notice that it's part luck. A photograph, a composition will be that much stronger if they're in sync and in the same stepping motion.
Well, this actually segues very well into my next question, which is about perfection. Because as I took that photograph, I noticed that my camera was just a little bit, in terms of composition, further up than I wanted it to be, and I missed the bottom of the feet. I believe I've got a photograph of an emotional moment, but it's not perfect because I can't see their shoes.
Well, it's not about perfection, and it's about emotion. And that might be, if you cut them right at the ankle, maybe you're going to do a little cropping to bring that up a little bit and tighten your frame. It's not about perfection. Again, it's about emotion, and moments happen quickly. We react as quickly as we can, but we can't always get it perfectly.
It was a real revelation. Well, not so much a revelation because I've heard you talk about it before, and I've heard other photographers, to be fair, talk about this. But in street photography, you don't have to get the faces. Detail is important, that includes hands, but equally, some of the photographs that you've shown us of people walking away are just as dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. So it's a little more difficult to make it work because you don't have the emotion on the face of the subject. So the emotion has to come from something else, either light or movement in the coat or the hair or something. So not everyone will make a good subject walking away. But for some people, it's important not to reveal the identity of people that they publish. And so there's so many ways to do street photography without showing the identity of people and showing their face. And I think that's even more important with children. There's so many beautiful ways to photograph children when they're playing and walking away, or you don't have to reveal their face. And I think that's a nice way to do it.
I'm just going to say it. Is it easier for women to photograph children than men?
Well, people tend to think that, and that may be true, although I think the camera is the problem, it's not the person. I've had participants, some men that at the best kids photograph, and I even had conversation with the parents after, went to them and showed them the picture, and they were like so good at it. So I think it's really how you approach it. So you should really do it if you're comfortable doing it. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Just one more thing on that subject. I hadn't considered this either. The use of creative filters. When you showed it and explained it, it made perfect sense. But shooting through glass, in fact, I think we're going to do that tomorrow morning at a cafe. We're going to shoot through the morning glasses of water. But shooting through things like glass, plastic bag. Actually, you even showed us one through a plastic bag.
Yeah. Well, anything that spices things up. Sometimes you just want to have fun, and instead of getting a creative focus lens, I can't add anything to my camera anyway, so I have to resort to those makeshift things, and it's a really fun exercise. I've had photographers that have been really, really creative, putting Scotch tape in front of their lens and shooting through it and stuff like that. So it's really fun to experiment. The distortion, shooting through an empty water glass, the distortion of the glass will give a really poetic mood. So yeah, anything goes. It's just it's about having fun, and never forget that you're the only person you need to satisfy with your street photography. You're not doing it for a client, so have fun with it.
Well, amen to that, Valerie. Street photography does indeed give us the rare freedom to shoot for no one but ourselves. Whatever street photography means, it's for us. No brief, no client, just instinct and curiosity guiding those frames. Later on in the afternoon, we arrive in the courtyard of the Palais Royal. Just a stone's throw from Le Louvre, something unexpected rises from the 17th century stone. There's a grid of black and white stripes columns. Some of them are knee-high, some towering. all asking to be photographed, obviously. Daniel Perren's installation caused a stir when it arrived in the 80s. Modern artwork dropped into classical grandeur. Scandalous, said the traditionalists. We don't like it. But for street photographers, it's a dream. Symmetry, texture, light, loads of stuff to play with. People sit on these things, climb, pose, pass through them. It's a living set, and the frame is always changing, as Valérie is about to describe.
Okay guys, so this is really la pièce de résistance of the day. This is the best playground for street photography. So it's called Palais Royal. So this part is Les Colonnes de Buren. Buren was the artist who did this display, so it's called Les Colonnes de Buren. Then you have this beautiful archway right here in between. You have those silver reflective fountains. You have one on the side, the other one on the other side. Do you see them? And then on the other side is Le Jardin, the royal gardens. And it's surrounded by archways, beautiful boutiques, cafes, galleries, lots of art galleries, lots of expensive things, which means lots of interesting people going in and out. The archways, right now the far one will have the patterns of the light and shadows because the sun is going to hit that one right now, the one at the far end. So you can really play with light and shadows, people coming through the light. And then in the middle you have two big aisles, one on each side, and then in the middle several little gardens that are enclosed. So it's like a garden into a garden. It's just like opening a treasure. It's like opening one of those boxes and another, and then there's another box and another box and another box. There's so many layers to this. I would really encourage you to kind of split up, and then half of you wander in the garden to start in the archway and the other half can work in the columns. The best way to shoot this place is not to try to get the big picture. It's to find a little corner where there are fewer people going through, and then a beautiful backdrop. So like those big signs there would not make a very good backdrop, right? It's really distracting. But if you take a little corner where they're on that side or facing this way where you have the beautiful architecture in the backdrop, and you focus your attention on just that small area where you'll have columns of different heights, then you let the magic happen. Someone incredible will come through there, or some kid is going to jump on a column. There's going to be something happening. You just have to be a little patient. So I would say sit on one of those lower columns, find a good spot, and then just wait for things to happen.
We return to Paris shortly. It's the Photowalk show of a Friday. Usually, of course, we have your letters as well to accompany the walk along the paths that we take. The mailbag will return next week. Let's break for a moment for the one-word assignment. Here comes your challenge for this month. I'll tell you how you can take part in a moment, but it's set by Gary Ramage, former conflict photographer, a photojournalist, now settled in his home country of Australia. What is the word for this month, Gary?
I think I'll go with tranquility.
Oh, perfect. Tranquility. And I like that particularly for this show. We talk a lot about the quiet of photographs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think of one of your pictures that would show total tranquility. I'm going to choose one for the war zone, actually, which we talked about in your interview, which is the young lad, the 20-year-old lad, 21-year-old lad, cuddled into his bomb disposal worker dog, keeping warm together in the night.
It's a beautiful picture, and yeah, I don't normally say that about my pictures. I don't really talk about my pictures, but it is. I've got it as it's a massive sort of 3 meter by 2 meter picture on my wall. And part of the reason it's in the dining room is when we have dinner with guests, it's the first thing they see. It's the talking point.
Do you go out with your camera to try and find tranquility at all? Are you somebody who looks for the quiet?
Yeah, probably first thing in the morning. Like we're coming into winter now, so normally what I'll do, I'll walk down the driveway and I'll just take photos of frost and peace and quiet. Before I go off to my job. And it just sets me on my path for the day.
Send your photographs for the assignment to stories@photowalk.show. Stories at photowalk.show. 2,500 pixels wide if you can possibly do it. That would be fantastic. Full res is fine otherwise, and I'll do the heavy lifting. Make sure that smartphones, tablets, etc. don't resize your images to very, very small pixel dimensions. 640 seems to be the favorite one for output in that respect because we can't use them that small. A few thoughts about the image is always good as well. That might help tell the story. No watermarks or borders, please, but do include links to your socials or your website so I can share more of your fabulous work. Submissions go on the assignments page and may just feature on our Instagram as well, with a tag back to you as well, just to help grow the community that we have here. Let's return to Paris for an unexpected moment or two. First up, though, a quick guide to the game of pétanque. A national pastime, or national sport, or national treasure, or maybe all three.
Well, Valérie is going to do the heavy lifting on this one in a moment when it comes to explaining how to play, but pétanque, as it's known today, was actually born not so long ago, 1907, in a town near Marseille. It was invented as a more accessible version of an older boule game, adapted for a player who could no longer run to throw. So instead of taking this run up, you stand still, feet together, planted. But really the roots do go deeper, back through centuries of boule in ancient Greece and Rome, through dusty Provençal villages. Today, though, it's as much a ritual as sport, a slow, steady heartbeat of community, played under the shade of plane trees, with a glass of, well, I tell you what, Valérie can tell us all about the alcohol-fueled bit.
It's the evening on the second day of the workshop, and no visit to Paris would be complete without a game of pétanque, which we're watching. And whoa! I tell you what, it's quite competitive. Valérie, you have to explain how pétanque works.
Oh, it's really easy. So
I've said, look, no evening would be complete without a game of pétanque. And here we are. It's warm. It's almost 6 o'clock. It's a Parisian evening, and they're playing pétanque.
That's right. So you have the little wooden ball that's called a cochonnet, and you have you each have two heavy metal pétanque balls, and the game is to get as close to the little cochonnet as possible. And if somebody else is in the way, you hit that ball and kick it off the path so you could get closer.
Forgive me for pointing something out very obvious, but all the balls are the same colour. How do you know whose is who?
They have different patterns on them.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, this guy over here with a long beard, you photographed him.
Yes, a long time ago.
Now, there's a great story attached to him, which you have to tell.
Okay, I photographed him a few years ago, and he said, "Oh, you're a street photographer," well, in French, of course. And he said, "Once."
How do you say that in French?
Oh, yes, he said, "Oh, vous êtes photographe de rue. Un jour, Robert Doisneau m'a photographié," which means one day he was photographed by Robert Doisneau, the famous French photographer. And I said, "Well, now you can say you were photographed by Valérie Jardin." And he just looked at me. And you can tell he doesn't remember me at all.
No, I've seen him looking across. I think there's an air of... Yeah, he's been saying the last couple of years...
This is the famous Valérie Jardin.
Shh, this is a serious game. You cannot be laughing. Yeah. Apart from one of them's actually sort of bowling, and he has a drink in one hand. And
well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Is it?
Pastis would be the drink.
Pastis?
Yes, pastis.
What's that?
It's anise. I don't even know the words in English,
right.
But it's a drink that you drink in the south of France.
Okay.
Ricard, pastis Ricard. That would be the drink.
Is that what he's drinking over there? No.
Well, I hope not, because that would be straight.
That looks like paraffin.
It's not diluted in water. So pastis would be the drink in the south of France, where pétanque is the most popular.
Yeah.
You drink pastis.
Let me ask him. Yeah. Excuse me.
Alors c'est un stage.
What are you drinking?
Du sirop.
Oh, c'est pas du pastis.
Oh, zero. Oh, I thought it had to be something alcoholic to help you.
Ah, on a déjà pris des bières.
Faut jouer au pastis, faut boire du pastis.
On a bu quelques bières, mais avec le soleil, il faut y aller doucement.
Could you ask him?
Parce que le pétanque, c'est le pastis.
Ouais.
Hein?
Could you ask him? He looks too young to be playing with these people.
Alors, il dit que vous avez l'air trop jeune pour jouer avec ces anciens.
They are my friends.
Which is wonderful, isn't it?
Great.
Every age every age plays. Who's the best?
Moi, je dirais que Jacques. Alors.
Jacques.
That's the best tireur and the best pointeur.
It's a different.
Pointer try to place the ball, and the tireur try to
push it away.
Push, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's quite an abrasive way.
Two technique difference.
Yeah.
You can be good in one of those techniques.
And what are you? What are you? What's
your technique?
Moi, placeur, place. Pas tirer, not push the ball.
Yeah.
Just place it.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to watch. I love it. Hey, why do we have this in the UK?
You probably do. You can start
no,
a
we
club.
don't. No,
there is a club in Minneapolis. There is a pétanque club. That's French club.
Our national sport is pub crawl. It's not quite the same thing.
I said there'd be a couple of left turns unexpectedly, and the player you heard us talking to, the one I joshed was far too young to be playing amongst his more maturely toned friends, pointed to an apartment overlooking where we were stood and invited us to have a look around the place, once home to a very famous, I heard singer. Although, as you're about to find out, I was entirely wrong, quelle surprise, in that it really belonged to two darlings of the French film industry. Though there's no way to edit my mistake out, so please feel free to chuckle at me as you hear my attempted quip. It's a 5-minute recording of, I don't really know what's going on. But if street photography is about the surprise, I invite you to sample that with me now with a large swig or four of pastis, if that should help you understand where we're going. I do think it was very trusting, very kind, to invite a bunch of street photographers who he'd never met in his life before up to his private apartment, knowing that we were probably going to snoop around with our cameras.
We've been invited into a house that was apparently a great French singer's house. Now, I don't know many French singers. Charles Aznavour is one that I know, and Charles Aznavour. And
La salle de bain.
We're in an apartment that was.
The bathroom is really interesting.
The bathroom's interesting.
Yeah, let's go to the
Valerie,
bathroom.
whose house was this?
Okay, Yves Montand and Simone Signoret.
Okay, not Charles Aznavour then.
No. 1950s icons.
Ah oui, je pense que c'est connu. Et c'est pour ça, un peu, Simone Signoret, là, elle a fait tout ce grand miroir.
You're going to have to
Simone
translate this.
Signoret was a very, very famous actress.
Right.
And she had designed this mirror.
Wow.
Voilà, c'était elle qui avait fait un peu les studios de cinéma.
Kind of like a movie set, you know, like a...
Désolé, c'est pas nettoyé. Mais j'essaye de retrouver, moi, des petits éléments des années 50 pour restituer. Et il y a un film qui va sortir sur leur histoire d'amour en octobre.
Wow.
Et ils ont reconstitué cet appartement en studio de cinéma. Cet appartement, il s'appelle La Roulotte. Vous pouvez traduire
Yeah, I will.
Donc la roulotte, parce que c'était les comédiens. Donc les comédiens vivaient dans des roulottes autrefois. Donc leur appartement était connu sous ce nom-là. Mais ça, c'est vraiment la partie inaccessible de la roulotte. C'est leur salle de bain et leur chambre. Les parties un peu communes où ils accueillaient les célébrités, les journalistes, etc. C'était au rez-de-chaussée.
Okay. So
if you translate this in 2 words, I'll be really disappointed.
No, well, in a few words, there's a movie coming out about their life in October.
Okay.
And they actually recreated this bathroom and part of this apartment as a movie set for that particular
So
movie.
they had to come in and measure all this.
And the apartment was called La Roulotte. La Roulotte is like a horse-drawn carriage.
Okay.
And that's what it was known. So they recreated it for the movie. And he says he also collects items from the 50s to kind of stay true to the tradition.
Très très beau. Tout est très beau.
Oh, c'est beau, oui.
Moi, je travaille en chambre. Je fais de la relure
Keep up with this, by the way.
plus luxueuse, mais plus confidentielle.
Okay, so he's a bookbinder.
Oh, proper artisan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Beautiful.
So that's why he has all those old presses.
Every week I say this on the podcast, but
Venez
I
dans
just
le salon, si vous voulez.
he is living my dream. He really is. Oh wow, look.
A man of passion.
A man of passion, French passion. Can I go through to his living room? Oh my God, he's got a press in his living room. Look at this. Wow. Honestly, could somebody get a wide-angle picture of this? Because I've not got the right lens on. Okay. Jonathan, you're in charge of the shot. Tell me you're not on a 40mm lens.
Oh, I'm on a 40mm lens. But doing my best, Neil, and getting most of it.
Well, this is pretty good. I like this.
Yeah, this is where you need a video podcast because this guy is super cute.
You know, Jonathan, what's most amazing? Not one thing from IKEA in here.
I don't know. I think
This is proper French.
The new collection, IKEA's new
The new collection from IKEA? I very much doubt that, Mercedes. What's it? Oh, no, he's got a kitchen. I have to look at his kitchen quickly. Let's be nosy. Oh, it's tiny. It's tiny. I think he sleeps on the couch.
Yeah.
He's married.
He's married?
He has
Yeah, I saw his wedding pictures.
Wow. They live in the smallest apartment in the whole world.
Nosy O'Donnell. The pictures are there.
Ah, okay. Ask him. Will you ask him?
Yeah, the pictures. I see his wedding pictures over there.
And you ask.
With an altar.
Okay,
I know.
we vote you to ask.
What? I don't speak French. He was flirting with you.
No, he's married. I am married. There's no flirting.
I think he was flirting with Jonathan.
What happens? What happens in Paris stays in Paris.
It's still running, Mercedes. Stop saying stuff. You're getting yourself in trouble. Look at his shoes. Oh, they're very French. But there's no women's shoes there. No, there's no women's shoes. Okay.
Tell Valérie to ask him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break my face.
Mercedes is looking in every single cupboard.
Where are you?
She's not in there. I don't think she exists, Mercedes.
That's a problem, though.
Knock on the door, Jonathan. There we are. Yeah. We almost lived in here, Jonathan. You and I, in Paris. It's only because Mercedes wanted to look in all the cupboards.
Yogurt! Come on!
You'll not be invited again, Neil, but what a lot of fun with some new French friends. I told you it'd be an odd 5 minutes, bit of silliness. End of day 2, and c'est l'heure for supper. Valérie can order, you've heard my French. No prizes, but I will be impressed if I receive an email from you telling me what we're having for supper. And no, it's not prawns.
Ok, alors on va prendre une planche du buronnier et 2 verres de pinot noir.
Ouais.
C'est bon? Ok.
Vous voulez 2 verres ou vous voulez une carafe?
Une petite carafe alors.
Ouais.
C'est
en
pas...
25, en 50, 25?
25. Ça fait 2 verres, 25? Ok, c'est bien.
I don't speak French very well, or at all, but I think you just went for the smaller carafe.
Yes. Instead of 2 glasses, we're getting the carafe.
Oh, no, you went for the
carafe. A small carafe because we just had beer, so we'll go easy on the wine now.
By the way, if you're listening, don't be thinking that it's a pub crawl.
Excusez-moi, vous me mettez pinot noir pour le vin?
Oui.
Pinot noir.
C'est bon? Ok, merci.
It's just the end of a day. It's been a wonderful end of the day. This has been fantastic. So we ended the day going, first of all, to watch a bit of pétanque, which was fun. I like that. And then we ended up, I don't know, how did we end up with one of the pétanque players offering us to go and look into the apartment of one of the most famous people in France?
In the movie industry, yeah. Well, he was just very interested in what we were doing. And at one point he said he lived here. I'm like, what? You lived on this beautiful little triangle in the middle of Paris on the island? And he said, yeah, I actually live in the apartment of Yves Montand and Simone Signoret. And I'm like, wow, I mean, that's my parents' era. And so I grew up watching those movies. So it's amazing that he invited, how many were left? By 6, 7?
I think 6 or 7 of us in his reasonably small apartment.
We were all in the bathroom at one point looking at that beautiful mirror that had been crafted for Simone Signoret. What a treat. What a treat.
I'm not going to say who, but somebody was opening the cupboards.
Oh, yes. Somebody was sneaky.
I understand why you love Paris. I see, I've visited Paris many, many times, but I haven't seen Paris. You have delivered me Paris.
You just saw it for the first time.
Yeah.
Because I think as photographers, we we look past the tourist stuff. We look for moments, and we live in the moment. And that's when you really see life and you appreciate the city. And Paris really is just, it's very timeless still, I think.
But you've taken us to places that I figured existed, and when I've been to them, I've thought, now this looks like Paris in my mind.
That's good to hear, because I've heard that. I've had people who had visited Paris like 20 times before, and they came on the workshop and said, wow, I just really saw Paris for the first time. And that's always such a huge compliment to me, because it's that's what I'm hoping for.
Well, we're going to eat, and then we're going to go and have a chat, aren't we? And actually, the chat we're about to have, some of it will have appeared before this conversation.
That's right.
Oh, I've got an editing job, Valerie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the French special is going to be special.
It's going to be a 3-hour special.
You'll hear the final conversation I recorded with Valerie in Paris on the workshop very soon. Here's a couple of reflections, really, about photographing in Paris. First up, well, it's street photography, so you wander, you drift. You do a lot of wandering, you do a lot of drifting. I managed at least 20,000 steps a day, and I reckon I could have done some more into the evening. You stop more than you planned to, obviously, and it's a city that invites you to look up at the amazing architecture. And maybe, without meaning to, you start following in the footsteps of those who saw it all before you. Through glass, through film, through moments that have hung in the air for, well, more than a century. This is a city where photography didn't just happen. In many respects, it began. The first permanent photograph ever made, View from the Window at Le Gras in 1826, was created by Nicephore Niepce, a Frenchman. And just a few years later, Louis Daguerre would give the world the daguerreotype, fixing images with light and silver, a revolution born on these streets. They don't say that too loudly. This city reminds you that seeing, really seeing, is part of its story. Turn a corner near Montmartre and you're in Brassai's Paris, the Paris of the 30s. Shadows under the lamplight, lovers caught mid-whisper, the glint of rain on cobbles. Wander across to the Marais and it's easy to imagine Robert Doisneau crouched low, waiting for the right tilt of a hat or a kiss on a corner. Henri Cartier-Bresson lived and worked here too, the master of timing. I know you know that. He spoke of the decisive moment. I know you know that too. That blink of time when everything lines up, then vanishes. And walking these streets, perhaps you can feel that. It's a romantic place to photograph. Paris is a generous place photographically. It does give images freely. You don't have to be too patient. But I like this quote that's unattributed, I'm afraid. You listen with your eyes. Even now in the age of pixels and presets, there's something beautifully still about photographing here. The old and the new coexist. Scaffolding next to sculpture, e-bikes skimming past boulangeries older than memory. And in between, the moments. A man sweeping a step, a dog watching the world go by with that Parisian stillness. People just sat having coffee. So if you're thinking of coming to Paris to photograph, let me just suggest something. A plan can be good. I mean, it's nice to know some different places to go to, and hopefully we've introduced you to those today. But moreover, just come with your camera and time. Oh, and look who I've just found. Photographing in a wonderful market, just a glance away from the place that sells the best croissant in Paris. I know that's quite the claim. La Maison d'Isabelle, in case you do visit. It's Mercedes at a fruit and veg stall.
This is either the world's best picture of a lettuce or the person behind it. Mercedes, what are you photographing?
The lady.
The lady.
Behind the lettuce.
Behind the lettuce. It's a huge lettuce and a small lady.
It's a huge lettuce. And she's looking at her phone, Neil. Tell her to stop. Go say something.
Look up.
No, last time you asked me to go ask something of somebody.
It wasn't me.
It ended up in quite an embarrassing fashion.
Me, so.
Yeah. How have you? So we're on the third day now, Mercedes. How do you feel after photographing for 3 days? Are you happy with what you've achieved?
You know what? I am, because I realize that I'm taking pictures that I wouldn't have taken any other time.
Okay.
Like, I'm trying to understand how other people see, and try to see like other people, to incorporate more vision into my work, and so I'm excited about that.
Is street your genre?
It's kind of my genre. I started photography as a family photography person, and then I moved to documentary family style when I became a mom, and then I'm slowly transitioning to street because I feel like it's basically the same.
Yeah.
But I can go out and just see the world for what it is and not have to think about documenting something.
This has become
deeper.
a recurring theme, actually, that photography opens up your eyes to see the world more.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your photography that you do at home then, your documentary family photography, are you doing day in the life stuff?
Yes, exactly.
Ah.
So I document a day in the life of a family.
Yeah.
And
how does that work? You get up with them in the morning and
Yes, it's
effectively
either
drop them off at bedtime, as it were?
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically,
That's
I'm
a
there.
long day.
I'm there when they wake up, and I leave when they go to bed, and I spend a day in their life. And what I found is that it's maybe not the most appealing kind of photo shoots for families, but being a mom and knowing how fast kids grow and how easy it is to just be like thinking about what's next and what's the next thing you need to do as a mom, you miss out on so many little things that kids do, and they do for a second and then they don't do it anymore. Or maybe they're wearing their favorite t-shirt and then they grow out of the favorite t-shirt, and because you're just in the moment thinking about you need to get them ready for school or you need to get out of the house to do something or whatever, you miss out on those little moments.
Yeah. You told us on the very first day about this wonderful project that you made for your 5-year-old. Tell us all about that.
So I'm from Mexico City, and I got married and moved to the US, and my daughter was born in Vermont, and it could not be further from where I grew up. So in Mexico City, we don't have snow, we don't have woods and nature. And then I found myself in the middle of nowhere with a husband who was very busy with a baby. And I realized that the first 5 years in the life of anybody are pivotal for who you will become. And funny enough, you don't remember those 5 years. And so I thought that I could capture those 5 years and give them to my daughter as a gift, so she would know where she comes from, and that she would know what those 5 years meant for me as a first-time mom, and that she would be able to come back and see who she is and how she became who she is.
You know, there's a great amount of legacy in that, because it may not mean as well, it won't, I don't think it will mean as much to her now as it will do when she's 25, when she looks back and says, oh, what's that project that Mum did for me? At 25 years old, to see those first 5 years.
Yeah.
What a legacy. Huh?
Well, that's the hope. That was the intent on the project.
Beautiful idea.
And honestly, I got the biggest gift of all, because now I go back to them and I remember every single moment every time I see a picture, I remember what we were doing. And it's something so mundane as like cleaning the house and she was helping me, or we were watching a movie or playing hide and seek or having a tea party, or like all those little things that you do every single day and may not be important in the day-to-day. But now I look back at them and I remember specifically, and like I travel back in time and I can see her tiny and just like innocent, and this little baby that I'm taking care of, and I don't know, it's beautiful. I don't know if she's gonna appreciate it as much as I do.
She will. What brought you to photography? When did you pick up a camera, Mercedes?
Oh, I don't remember. I was so young. So my grandfather was very passionate about photography. He had a dark room in his house, and so my father just picked it up, and I remember growing up surrounded by boxes and boxes of old photographs that my dad took, and it was mostly my mom. Like that's what they would do on a weekend. They would just go out, take pictures, and then go to the dark room and work on them. And
There's a nostalgia in this then, isn't there?
Yeah, totally. And so I grew up surrounded by photography, and I don't remember when I first grabbed a camera, but I remember seeing my dad putting film on a camera and just being so curious about all the process that needs to happen in order for me to physically have a picture in my hands. And then one day I was in my grandparents' house in Mexico City, and my grandfather used to collect National Geographic magazines, like a lot of people did. But I remember seeing the issue with Steve McCurry's cover.
The Afghan girl.
The Afghan girl.
Yeah.
And it was way before I was born. That magazine came out early 80s. And I wasn't born when it came out, but I remember seeing it and having it in my hands and just feeling something. And I remember thinking, one day I want to make somebody feel something like this with my work. And so it was very ingrained in my in my head. I always wanted photography in my life.
Which is a beautiful segue to actually meeting Steve McCurry.
Exactly.
What an honor.
Mm-hmm. You
worked with him and watched him.
I worked with him. I took a workshop with him, a week-long workshop in Rome. Just that was amazing.
Yeah. Living the life.
But then I was able to watch him work, which was, I learned more from that than from the whole experience. Just seeing how he patiently waits for a moment to happen, a moment that he's seen in his mind, and seeing him waiting and finding the perfect light and and just shooting one picture, and then he leaves.
When you said that to me the other evening, I thought, just one? Surely not one.
No, just one. I saw him do that like so many times, that he would just find the perfect moment and just click and leave. And I'm like, but wait, don't you need more? Like, how is this possible? And I remember one time we were standing on an alley and he was waiting for somebody to walk by. And I was standing right next to him with my camera in my hand, waiting for the moment that he was waiting, that he had seen in his mind. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what we were waiting for, but I was ready. And we were standing next to each other, and a guy finally walked by, and he took the picture, and I took the picture, and we compared them, and mine is horrible. And his is just like a most beautiful picture ever. And I'm like...
Are you not just being tough on yourself?
No. It was like everything. He included a little graffiti on the wall, and it was so well thought of. Like every single detail was thought of. And mine was crappy. I was like, is there a button that I can program in my camera to make it look like
the Steve McCurry filter?
Exactly. Is there such a thing? How did you come up with that?
What do you take away from your 3 days in Paris?
That I love this city, first of all. It's such an interesting city. It's so beautiful. Every little corner has something unexpected. But in terms of photography, I don't know, I love watching people take pictures, and I love watching what they're trying to understand what they're looking for.
So those that are on the workshop, you've been observing them, observing the observers.
Yes, exactly. And I love how sneaky people can be. And even though I am a photographer and I am sneaky sometimes, I love when I don't see people taking pictures of me or next to me. I love seeing how quiet people can be and how people move around. I love seeing other photographers. You know what I think is that when you take the picture and it's so fresh in your mind, you see the results and maybe they're not exactly what you were expecting because it's too fresh and you just saw the moment. And then maybe when you give yourself some space, you forget what you were expecting.
Yeah.
You let go of expectations and you only see the result, and that's why sometimes it's not as bad.
Either that, or we'll just all go and buy a Steve McCurry filter.
I mean, if you find it, let me know where to buy it.
Right, let's take some more pictures through the lettuce.
No, she's gone.
Oh, she's gone now. The lettuce filter is working no longer.
If anybody does find that Steve McCurry filter, would you be sure to let myself and Mercedes know? Thanks very much. There's a strange thing that happens with photographs, and I think Mercedes made some intriguing points here. Sometimes the ones we're not so sure about, the ones that perhaps we were left feeling flat about, or maybe we thought they were unfinished, or perhaps too ordinary at the time, they quietly go on to become our favourites. It's happened so many times with photographs I've looked at, given a fair distance between when they were made and when they were next viewed. Time gives the frame a new voice. You forget the fuss of the day, the technical slip-ups, the self-doubt and all that stuff. And what's left is the moment itself, the feeling, the light, the place you stood. Suddenly it's not just a picture you made, It's a memory you might have lost if you hadn't lifted the camera at all. I often call my photographs sketchbook moments, thanks to Marissa Roth, who'll be on this show very soon, by the way, and I think it's something that's very pertinent. Making sketchbook photographs is all about your presence, the history, with a small h, that you saw in front of your lens. Photographs do ripen. They settle into something more than just composition or sharpness. They definitely become who you were, where you were, what you were drawn to. And when you look back years on, you start to see your own eye developing, not necessarily improving, but changing. The angles you don't shoot anymore, the colour palettes that you no longer pull in, and that's legacy. Henri Cartier-Bresson said your first 10,000 photographs are your worst, but maybe it's not about best or worst. Maybe it's just about perspective. The ones we rush past, the ones we discard, they're part of the story too. And I think in many ways, this visit to Paris and being on a workshop has actually taught me that, or refreshed my mind to think that way at least. Now forgive my romanticism here, but photographs don't age, they deepen. And if we give them time, they tell us who we were and what we cared about, long after we've moved on. Bit deep, Neil, I know. Must be all that Chateau Neuf to fall over. I'm feeling a bit melancholic actually, can you tell? But the adventure is almost done. We're on the third day. And I find myself once again by the Seine, chatting with Valérie. A few more moments to muse what this photographic thing, and street photography in particular, is all about.
Well, this is rather nice, Valérie. I'm sitting by Le Seine.
La Seine.
La Seine. Oh, shall I start again?
We're on the Île Saint-Louis, one of the islands, the smaller island, and it's just so peaceful. The temperature is perfect.
Yeah.
Life is good. Life is
you
really
continue
good.
then, so I can't start again and sound like I know what I'm talking about. La Seine. I should have remembered that from my French lessons. It's remarkable how much I've forgotten over the 3 decades of having the last lesson in it. It has been. It's a beautiful day this morning. This is, although the light now. So we've had really contrasty shots the last few days. We've had extreme sunshine, and today we've got a decent amount of gentle scrim cloud cover, which I think you prefer photographing in.
No, actually, I do. I do like
no?
the harsh contrast,
Okay.
but it's easier with this giant softbox in the sky. So everybody was mentioning this morning, I was like, oh, it's so much easier today. I said, yeah, you don't have to play with harsh light, and so, but it's good because you want a little bit of everything to practice different technique.
I learned something when it comes to street photography, which was quite interesting. Maybe it's a coincidence, but every single time I've gone to take a photograph somewhere where you've taken us to some wonderful places, and I've found my position, I thought, right, let me hole up here for 15 minutes. Yesterday, prime example, I thought, right, I'm gonna photograph upwards on these steps, and so I can make people look big and dynamic. And what I want now is a beautiful Parisian man or woman, and immediately a beautiful, elegant woman, very Parisian, very timeless, came past. And I didn't photograph. I thought, well, I'll leave it because I'll get the next one will be perfect. And it never happens again for 15, 20 minutes. And that's happened to me 3 or 4 times the last 3 days.
Yeah, you have to be quick. It's all about reaction time. Ari's scanning around you nonstop. It's like you have eyes behind your head, and then reacting quickly. That's why your camera should always be on. The landscape should be at home, and you just need to be ready because it's a fraction of a second that's never happened before and will never happen again.
Are you constantly depressing the shutter just a little bit to keep it live?
Yeah, so when I'm in an area where there's potential for some good shots, I will keep my camera awake.
Yeah. Leading lines, another word I wrote down. You can't get much better leading lines than that courtyard you took us to yesterday with the black and white columns.
Yeah, so lots of geometry and interesting architecture. So when you include several compositional elements on a strong subject, you're going to have a stronger photograph. So you have the beautiful subject. I mean, the subject whatever beautiful means to you, the subject has to be interesting, and then and you combine that in, with either leading lines, converging lines, repeated pattern, then you have an extra strong composition. But it's still all about subject. You can have the best background in the world and a boring subject. It's still going to be a boring picture.
This might be unfair, actually, as a question, because I think it changes constantly. But is there a compositional tool that you believe is the strongest for making great documentary candid photographs?
No, because it all depends on the moment and the place. And I think when you wait for a shot, like if you're in the fishing mode, you're more aware of the composition, and you set the composition before the subject enters the frame. I'm more in the reaction and grab shot, so sometimes it comes together, sometimes it doesn't, but you make the best out of it.
In this world where people are ever more conscious of being photographed, ICM is talking of tools, a fabulous tool to be able to fall back on if you feel uncomfortable maybe photographing people and showing who they are. You do some ICM, don't you?
Yeah, we did a little bit yesterday on the bridge, and it's fun. It's really what I call visual poetry, and it's very difficult to do in street photography. I mean, you do it, usually people do it on landscape or beautiful birch trees, and it makes beautiful imagery, but when you do it on a moving subject, every other element has to come into place. You still need a good subject, contrast with the background, you need a good background, the light, and everything has to be right, and you need to get that right movement. So it adds another level of difficulty. A lot of people think maybe it's a little gimmicky, but it actually is a very difficult technique to do, but it's a lot of fun.
You said it's generally you work generally at 1/8 of a second. Is that right?
Yes. So for ICM, I usually work at 1/8 of a second, and I move with the camera and the subject. So you need an ND filter, like a bright day like yesterday when we worked on the bridge. The only people who could do the technique at that moment either had an electronic ND filter or a physical one. Yeah.
In terms of humor, it generally finds you, doesn't it? It's very difficult to go and find humor. That is something we've talked a lot about over the last 3 days, and it'll be really interesting. It'll be fascinating to see who has found humor in their 5 images that are shown.
Yes, it's probably one of the hardest thing to capture, because you have to see it, you have to react quickly enough, and it's, again, the humor that we're looking for is subtle. It's not making fun, so it is very difficult. And you're right, it finds you. You can't really be looking for it.
Since we're dancing around questions from my notes, color. When do you choose color? When do you choose black and white? Now, you should know this because you've listened to Valérie on this show for a few years, although she has had to remind me at times that you are a JPEG shooter. What you bake in is what you get. Yep. So if you choose to photograph black and white, you choose to photograph black and white. You generally don't convert, do you? You have it on a button. You switch between color and black and white, and you make your decision on the fly.
Yes, I do. So if it's a really harsh light, I'm going to be in black and white, no questions asked. I find the photographs much more dramatic in black and white if you have deep shadows and really bright light. But a day like today, when we have this giant softbox in the sky, off and on, because sometimes it's all blue sky and then a little bit of cloud. Yeah. It's good for color, or after the rain, it's good for color, or during the rain, it's good for color. So often the color will distract from the subject, and so to me, if the color is fully part of the story, or sometimes the color is the story, then of course I'll shoot color. But I find that often, that green willy bins, as you call them in the UK, can be very distracting from a beautiful subject sitting on a park bench. Yeah. So then the black and white, it tends to disappear.
When you buy a new car, although I think we still have our old cars, don't we, that we're running into the ground, don't we? You've got your lovely Mini, which you've had for years.
No, my Mini is new.
Is it new? Oh, get you. Okay. I've got my old Kia that's probably going to go twice around the 100,000 clock at this rate. Okay.
So when you have a new car, you'll know about this even more then, because you did it the other day, funnily enough. We were all drinking coffee and said, "My car," as it went apart. I thought, I hope not. Yours is across the Atlantic. But when you have a new car, you see your new car everywhere. Your eye is drawn to that car. And you gave a really good bit of advice the other day, which I think fits into this sort of new car theory. You said, if you can't think of anything to do, go with a theme. Give yourself something, one thing, and you'll start to see it.
Absolutely. It can be so overwhelming. I mean, Paris is, you want to capture it all because it is all so beautiful, and there is a moment everywhere you look.
It's like a candy shop.
Exactly. So if it's overwhelming, you're going to have a lot of pictures that kind of are disconnected. So it's good to pick a theme for a little bit, and it could be for the afternoon, it could be for an hour, but to get the creative juices flowing. So whether it's a color or people with dogs or hands, whatever it is. And I gave a whole list before you guys got started, so that you had that in the back of your mind in case you felt like you were in a rut. And so you just start focusing on that. But you'll still see everything else. But then it makes you feel good because you're working on a little mini series, which you could carry for the whole weekend. You could carry for years, and that's how collections and series start. And it's great.
Valerie, I know quite a while ago, because you've been with me on the show now with our monthly specials for quite a while now, easily 2 years. So I have asked you in the past your why, but whys do change. Whys develop, to use a photographic pun. So I'm going to ask you at the end of this Parisian special now, I wonder whether it's changed. What's your why?
Well, it probably has changed a little bit, although to me I feel that photography keeps you in the moment. And being a street photographer, you're constantly reminder of how beautiful life is. Everyday little moments of daily life are so beautiful. And I think people tend to ignore that too much and forget about the beautiful world we live in. And those special little moments are so simple, but so precious. And I think recording that helps me remember that, especially today, where there's so much happening in the world, and it's such a depressing time in history. We're so lucky as photographers to be able to have photography as therapy and to help us forget for a moment or for 3 days, like here, just sharing good times with friends who share the same passion and having photography to focus on. And really, it's about the journey. As a photographer, I think you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. In street photography, which is extremely difficult, there's going to be days where you're going to get home empty, and it's really about the journey. It's about seeing those moments, even if you don't capture them, and appreciating that. And I hear on workshops all the time, I saw this, but I missed it, and I keep reminding them, well, you can't do one without the other. So seeing those moments that most people don't see and don't notice is part of the learning. And sometimes that's all you're going to get. You're going to get the experience, and you won't be able to capture it, but you have to enjoy that experience. So it's just a gift to be a street photographer, in my opinion, and I really can't imagine my life without that.
And my thanks to Valérie Jardin, my sincere thanks. It was a real pleasure and so much fun spending time with those that attended the workshop as well. It really was. New friends definitely made over those 3 days, without a shadow of a doubt. So, well, that's it for today. If you can't wait until next Friday and want to walk a little bit further together, then there's a podcast for you called The Extra Mile. We're up to number 147, although there's many, many more editions in a slightly different guise within our Patreon. That's where The Extra Mile is. It's our Patreon channel for people who want to help support the show, help us, keep us walking week after week. This week I have a few more thoughts about the city and the pictures I made in Paris. It's a candid review in many respects. But not of the course, not of the workshop, not of Valerie, but of the photographs I made during those days of the workshop. We were all asked to present 5 pictures at the end of the 3 days, and so the extra mile is about that today. There'll be pictures to support it on the Patreon page to accompany my thoughts on some very special time away. The PS postscript to the show is to come, but first we need a play-out song, of course, a record to make a few final frames to, or think about what's been said on the show today, and there's been much shared. Of course I needed something French. I wanted a sort of late-night Paris bistro kind of number. Paris, Oh, I so enjoyed my time in the city. And we'll be back soon, I have no doubt.
Notre-Dame, un monde entier sommeille. Un premier rayon de soleil illumine les quais de Seine. Une pause, café crème, on se remet de la veille. Il n'y en a pas de pareil, le Paris village s'éveille. Dans les bistrots, les cafés, on n'en finit pas de flâner. C'est le Paris cinéma, celui qu'on aime, toi et moi. De l'île de la Cité à Saint-Germain-des-Prés, un monde entier sommeille. Mais au premier rayon de soleil, le Paris village s'éveille.
That's Retrophonics with a love letter to Paris at dawn. Perfect. Back in Paris, actually, for the extra mile today. Well, back with some of the pictures that I made during Valerie's course, with some thoughts and some stories behind the pictures, which I suppose really is also a little more about the workshop that we took as well. But there's some stories behind the pictures, and that's why I've decided to present those 5 pictures, well, it's 7 of sorts, you understand why when you hear it, as reflection pieces. Now, the new Reflections feature is part of the Extra Mile. So far, we launched it last week, so there's an Extra Mile every single week for patrons of the show. But there's equally an extra 4 shows, Monday through Thursday. There's a Reflections every day, Monday through Friday. But now there's a short 8 to 10 minutes Reflections feature every day, which I'd planned to do just for July as an experiment, as a challenge, really, a writing challenge. But on the way back from Paris on the Eurostar, I wrote down enough ideas that it will probably just continue. I know, pups, I can't believe it either. But yes, I've got enough material to go for August as well with the new Reflections feature, which is on the Extra Mile channel. It's an 8 to 10 minute feature where I reflect on a creative life. So far we've had titles like, and this is eclectic, 3 Weddings and a Funeral, The Menu, I'm Fine, Memory, Perfectionism, The Slow Measure of Success, and a workshop survival guide written while I was in Paris. So if you're one of our supporters, and you can do that by going to photowalk.show, photowalk.show, you will find those features there. Now, just a few closing thoughts. Can you hear that in the background? Everybody's getting in on the action today. We've got Barney, we've got the cows. Right on cue, thank you. Perfect. Just a few closing thoughts before the postscript today. My sincere thanks to you if you are, or you're about, stop it now, or you're about to become an extra miler. We'll keep building this wonderful community of kindness in the photographic and walking world together, a safe place to share our thoughts about this thing we do, photographing and walking. A few special mentions for those who smooth the voyage for me. My thanks, as ever, to Neil Ford, who is in charge of IT. When I say in charge, capital I, capital C, in charge. Also to Andrea Gilpin, who keeps a watchful eye over Instagram, as does Kelly Mitchell for Facebook, and to Michael Mixon, who helps with show research. Write a postscript for the show. It has to be something in keeping with our French week, obviously. Although I've chosen not a French national to gather my PS from. I've chosen Diane Keaton, an American actress, director and producer. But she had a special affinity, or she has a special affinity for the city of Paris. This is what she said about this magnificent place, which I feel we've been very lucky to spend this week's episode in. You can't escape the romance of Paris. It's not the buildings, it's the feeling, a kind of permission to feel more alive. All right, pups. Right on cue as well. You've been talking to the cows. Is that in French? That's not in French. That's better. Oh, I can hear.
What's there to hold in the light of this moon? My mind keeps searching, but my heart decides. Thoughts can be cruel, they're not mine to hold. The space unravels when you let go.
The Photo Walk is a Loading Zone production.